Hello from me and my dining chair. Today I'm going to be embarking on a project that I have absolutely no experience in doing whatsoever, and I am going to be upholstering all 6 of our mid-century dining chairs. We bought these beauties off Facebook Marketplace a few months ago, and they have this sort of vintage looking covering, which I'm not mad about, but I do think it could be a little bit fresher and a little bit cuter. So I am letting delusional confidence guide me once again, and I am going to try and learn how to do this whole process and bring some new life to these gorgeous chairs. Also, if we've never met before, my name's Carly. I'm a sewist here on YouTube. I love making things and I'm so happy that you're here. This is the dining table and its matching chairs. We only use 4 chairs, but we actually have 6, so I'm gonna bring them all up and we're going to make them beautiful again. I love these chairs so much because they actually sit just about perfectly flush in with the dining table, which I think all circle dining tables should have perfectly fitting chairs. That's my personal preference and opinion, but yes, I really adore the design of our chairs. And this is the fabrication that I have selected for the upholstery. It is a stretch cotton corduroy. I would probably describe this color as a deep blue with a little bit of a teal vibe to it. It's just so rich and decadent and gorgeous. I'm really hoping that the stretch is not going to be detrimental to this process. I'm hoping that there's enough sturdiness to this fabric to be appropriate for upholstery. The stretch is not severe though. Anyway, I have bought many meters of this fabric from the fabric store, and I'm kind of just crossing my fingers and hoping for the best. Because I'm setting off with no experience, I think it's totally okay if a portion of this project doesn't go completely to plan, like if the fabric doesn't work or something like that, because I will simply be learning the technique of upholstery and I can always repeat that to reupholster them again and again if for some reason I'm doing a terrible job. But I've watched a few videos, I'm feeling nervous but excited, and I think all that's left to do is really just knuckle in and do this thing. Because I've never done anything like this before, I have exactly none of the required tools needed for this project, so I'm going to have to go for a trip to the hardware store and pick up some goods. As you can see, I've already taken one chair apart just to understand the anatomy, and essentially I think the process is going to look like taking out all of the staples, ripping off all of the fabric as best as I can, repeating that process for all of the seats, and essentially just cutting out my fabric and making it go over these pieces. I'm going to try and keep all of the wood and the foam for these seats. I'm hoping that it's in a good enough condition to keep, but they feel like really nice seats, so fingers crossed everything is okay to keep. And then basically once you cover those pieces of foam and wood up with the new fabric, you can just screw them back into the chair frame. These chairs are old. I'm a little nervous about finding some weird quirks about them, but it's okay. I think potentially one of the most challenging parts of this process might be getting these 2 pieces together perfectly. As far as I know, this is a lovely mid-century design in which the fabric... Ow! Got a splinter. I think potentially upholstering the back of this chair might be the most difficult portion of this project, just because this is a lovely mid-century design, as far as I know, where the fabric is beautifully covered on both sides and the fabric's tucked in, and then I think that you glue them together. Or in this case, they seem to just be screwed together. But everything just needs to align right so that the screws can go in properly. But we will cross that bridge when we get to that bridge. For now, it's time to go to Bunnings and get some tools. Does that make me look really cool saying it like that? Tools! Tools! How about now? That was pretty cool that time, I'm pretty sure. Tools! Tools! Also, my birthday occurred quite a while ago and all the decorations were still up, so... Wait a second, I have a fun side note. I have some beautiful fashion books like this Vivienne Westwood book, and I just had them sitting like on the bookshelf, just sitting. And then I just realized, you know what's so much nicer? Just having a book open on your desk. This is not revolutionary stuff, but every morning now I can just go and look at like 1 or 2 really cool pages and let it serve as my inspiration. It also stops me from putting my clothes and nonsense on the sideboard. Come look at this inspiration. Are you serious? Stripes. Stripes for everyone. Are you serious? Very cool colors. Fur trim. Are you serious? This. I'm just really enjoying having that out, and I wanted to share that with you because I definitely have that instinct that things need to be like off surfaces in order for them to be nice and clean, but it's actually much more functional to have some things out in a way that you enjoy. I'll actually use that book if it's just sitting there, you know? Not revolutionary, just revolutionary to me in my life right now. Okay, let's go to the hardware store. Wait, but what if I procrastinated one more time and showed you the shoes that Elijah got for my birthday? Are you serious? They're so cool. Let me show them on. They're like the perfect blend between sneakers and slippers, and also weirdly clogs. I don't care what anyone thinks about these. If you hate them, I get it. If you love them, I get it. But just look at them. They're pretty weird with this outfit. I probably wouldn't style them with this, but this is just so you can see them on. Okay, I literally am gonna go now. I'm just gonna take myself to Bunnings. I'm gonna do it. I can do it. I'm definitely not procrastinating because I don't know what I'm doing. In the next clip, I will have gone. I did it! Tools acquired. Let me show you what I got. These are the 2 extra chairs, by the way. Going to Bunnings feels so otherworldly. It's kind of like going to an op shop because it's like, I don't know what your original intention was for all of these tools, but I'm just seeing potential. Like I can just walk those aisles and just be like, wow, what an interesting contraption. I have no idea what I bought. I just followed the rules from the YouTube video that I watched and they told me what to get and that's what I got, so yeah. Okay. 200mm chrome steel combination pliers. Arrow T50 heavy duty staple gun. Protection goggles. Staples. Rapid high performance galvanized. Stanley knife. Rojan anti-cut gloves. Enhanced grip and dexterity. 2 clamps. Spring clamps. Gorilla wood glue ultimate. Kango carbon steel multi-use knife. Bike chain. King chrome trim, clip, and panel remover set. That's it, guys. And that came to $208.36. So kind of expensive, but I had literally 0 tools. So if you had these tools, you'd be cooking with gas. So all in all, I've spent, I think it was just over $100 on the fabric, $200 on the tools. So we're looking at a $300 upholstery shenanigan, not counting my cost of labor. I'm trying to include costs now for you in case you're interested. Guys, I'm doing expensive projects these days, so like and subscribe. And comment. Okay, that's all. Let's do this thing. Hey pals, it is a few days later. I actually decided to spend a little bit of time off camera just trying to understand how to attack this project. And I did successfully deconstruct, reupholster, and then construct a single chair. And it's okay. It's definitely the first pancake. We can do much better. And luckily I have 5 more chairs to practice on. Hopefully, by the end of this project, we have a nice set. A nice enough set. But before I get into my construction for the day, I am super excited to announce the sponsor of today's video, which is Printful. Thanks, Other Carly, I'll take it from here. Printful is an on-demand printing and fulfillment company that helps people like you and I turn our ideas into brands and products. Now, if you've never heard of the concept of print on demand, let me break it down for you because it's pretty cool. Print on demand is an amazing model where products are only created and made when a customer places an order. This means you don't have to worry about managing inventory, and it's also a more sustainable model because products are only being made when people actually want them, meaning there's no excess. Love that thinking. Now, I bet you're wondering how this works, and don't worry, I got you. Let me break it down for you. So if you're an artist, for example, you'll create your design, upload it to Printful, connect to your online store, and now a customer can buy your design, and when they do, Printful will print and ship that product, and you, the artist, will earn profit. Awesome. And fear not, Printful have a wide variety of products you can put your design on, like apparel, home goods, and accessories. So there truly is something for everyone. You can also set your own profit margins so you can manage your own income earning potential. Now, why choose Printful? Firstly, Printful have excellent quality control. They have a commitment to high quality printing and product standards, and they are
dedicated to ensuring customer satisfaction. Printful is also a highly trusted partner for major global brands like Coca-Cola, Spotify, MTV, CBS, and so many more. Anyway, let me show you around Printful so you can get acquainted with it. Firstly, you'll need to follow an easy sign-up process to get started, and then you can get to work with your design creation. Once you have a design you're excited about, simply upload it to the Printful platform. You can apply the design to various product mock-ups like t-shirts, mugs, and posters, and customize them until you're happy with the product. The final step is connecting your account to an e-commerce platform like Shopify, Etsy, or Wix, just to name a few, and now you're ready for the world to shop your product. So if you're an artist looking to monetize your skill and make beautiful products with your design on them, why not check out Printful? So have a go experimenting with your own designs and artwork, and start sharing your art with the world with the help of Printful. If you're interested in checking out Printful, I'll leave a link in the description box below, and I really hope you enjoy using this tool. Thank you so much to Printful for sponsoring this video, and let's get back into upholstering these chairs. Yeah!
Now, I have been pleasantly surprised by how achievable this project is. However, it is a little bit physically strenuous, but that's okay. The first step is to unscrew this section of the chair and also this section of the chair. And these are just flathead screws, so they're nice and easy to take out. Okay. Now, if I was going to be really legit, I might actually have taken the time to sand this down and make it really beautiful fresh wood and then give it a little coat of lacquer or paint. But honestly, I think this wood is quite beautiful, and I don't mind a little bit of a sign of age because it just allows me to further accidentally scratch it up and not feel so bad. So I'm just going to leave the wood in its original condition and just focus on the reupholstery side of this project. As you can probably see, when I unscrewed this back portion, it just split in two. This should really be glued together, I think, and it probably was originally, but the screws were doing a really good job at holding it together, just like that. Anyway, what I have to do now is unpick all of the staples in these three pieces. This one is the most strenuous because this piece of felt is individually stapled, and then once you rip that off, the fabric is also individually stapled, so it's a double whammy, but it's okay. I don't know how long it took me to do the first chair, but I'm gonna say somewhere around the 3-hour mark to unpick all of the staples for one chair. That's being pretty generous too, it could have been longer. On the video that I watched, they really recommended this painter's tool, but I actually don't enjoy working with this. My preference is this tool here. It's the Ken Chrome Trim, Clip and Panel Remover set. This is the packaging. It's about $30 from Bunnings. They kind of look like horseshoes and they came from the mechanic section. These are awesome because you just sort of slide them under the staple and then use this section to pry them up. And then the next best tool I found is just using a nice pair of combination pliers to yank out the remaining staples. Special mentions are these gloves that have been really helpful because my hands were really hurting at the end of my first chair, and that was with gloves, so I don't even want to imagine without gloves. And even though I have the biggest glasses known to mankind, I still have been wearing these safety goggles on top because I am a little bit of a scaredy cat. We'll see how much I wear them today though, because I think they're making me feel a little bit dizzy, so we'll just see how highly I end up valuing my safety. That's all of the tools I need for prying the staples out, so let's get into this, shall we? One of the most helpful things that I learned from the video tutorial that I'll have linked below is to not have your hand anywhere near the pathway of this little guy. If you have your hand like this and your tool misses the staple, you're liable to having this tool sort of go into the pathway of your hand or arm. I thought I was being really careful on my first chair, and I did have a few close calls with this. So now I'm being extremely careful about where this hand is and just making sure that it's behind or far to the side. Elijah was working on it before and he said he quite enjoyed using two hands. I don't know, I'll have to try his technique. But that's more or less what my technique was. And then just straight up using manual force to pry every single staple. I'm not gonna lie, I am only a tiny bit regretful of choosing this task, simply because of how strenuous this staple removal is. I'm not afraid of a little bit of hard work, but it's definitely like, you know, it's work. Oh, I didn't mention before either, but I will be using this felt piece for my reupholstery, so I'm trying to do my best to salvage this in good condition. The fabric underneath, I don't care what happens to that. It's lived its life. I'm just going to remove all the staples for this felt piece, and then I'll see you back when I'm ready for the next step. I took all the staples out, which means that my felt section can now be removed, and I'm left with the fabric and then the wooden seat. So the next step is just to take all of those staples out of the fabric layer, and then the seat is ready for proper reupholstery. A lot more of the same. Now you might be able to see here, I've got the fabric and it's splitting off here, and underneath is this foam layer. Now I'm going to keep that foam on, so I'm not going to remove those staples. I'm just going to be taking off this decorative fabric. I don't know what this white discoloration is here, but I have not seen it on any of the other chairs so far. So this chair might just be one of our chairs that sits in storage, as we have 2 extra, and I can bring it up for guests and I'll get this chair with the unknown white discoloration. Not that anyone will see this, I'm just not a professional, and I guess I'm slightly concerned that it's, I don't know, bad for the wood or something. It's fine though. I still want to upholster all 6 chairs, because if we need to bring the other 2 up for guests, I would like them to be matching and not, you know, this. I'd also rather just use my knowledge while it's nice and fresh and just do all of them at once, rather than leave it for another day and then have to sort of remember how I did everything, you know? Okay, once again, I think I'm just gonna do all of this staple removing off camera, and I will catch you guys once that's done. I just repeated that process of taking the fabric off the backs. The back is made up of 2 sections. You have this little cardboard section here, and then you have this foam and cardboard section, and they go together like that, and that means that the fabric can be beautiful on both sides and all of the raw edges are tucked into the middle, and you make this little sandwich basically. Anyway, I took the fabric off by removing all of the staples, and because these chairs are quite old, the wood is a little bit damaged, so I've just tried to glue it back together as best as possible, and that's why I have tape on it and some clamps. So I'm just gonna let that sit for a while and hopefully kind of mend itself, and then I can get upholstering, which funnily enough is by far the easiest step of this process. I find the staple removal dance quite strenuous. So at this stage, I have done my practice chair, and I've got 2 other chairs completely unfabricated. So that means I have 3 more left to do. So I might just sort of knuckle in and keep removing while these dry. And I'll see you when it's time to add the fabric. Stay tuned. I didn't say this also, but I'm using Gorilla Wood Glue for all of my gluing endeavors. All right, I am finally ready to cover this with my fabric. So let's do it. It's actually messy, guys. That's all right, won't be forever. So basically with the chair, what you want is the fabric to wrap around the chair easily. You don't want to have it be a really, really tight fit. And because my felt piece is rather small, I do want the fabric to kind of go in a significant amount. Otherwise the fabric, this fabric, won't cover all of the staples, or there might be some gaps. So I'm just gonna be really excessive with it, and I can always trim the fabric back after the fact. But better to have more than less at this stage, I have learned. Like honestly, that'll probably do the trick, and you can just manually sort of test and just make sure everything comes over the edge, which it does. So more or less, it'll get stapled down like that, and then the covering will go on top. Cool. I'm just gonna iron this fabric now so it's nice and, well, as neat as it can be, I suppose, before I work with it. Oh, I work. fun yet strenuous part of this activity. We're going to staple this all the way down. I'm gonna do my corduroy going vertically, so I'm just gonna check that I like how it's sort of sitting and then flip it. I have my staple gun. I'm just gonna take my rings off because I don't like the feeling of them under the glove. I'm still married. And we're gonna do a northeast southwest compass style attachment. One on each line of the square, rectangle. So that's the axis. I don't know, I'm gonna just do 4 staples just to get everything sort of situated. Now, I don't think I'm enjoying working with a stretch material for this. I would probably recommend non-stretch. It's just that this fabric from the fabric store, so divine, fell in love with it. It's working. It's just that sometimes there's a slight warp in the fabric when I really, really stretch it to get it taut. But I think if it was a tighter weave with no stretch, it wouldn't get that kind of warping. You would just pull taut. That's my hypothesis. This requires much more pressure than I thought. I was being a princess with it before and the staple wasn't really going in all the way, but now I'm like, ah! See, that wasn't even good enough. It's okay, you can always just go, rewrite the stars. Much better. And then with one hand, I'm actually just pulling as tight as possible there. And then the other hand, I'm applying all of my pressure downwards with the staple. That's good. Cool. Now we're gonna play a game. And the game is basically just going all the way around this cushion, pulling the fabric nice and tight, and trying not to get any of this puckering visible on the upside of the seat. Obviously, when you get around to the corners, it's gonna be really quite gathered, but as long as it's nice and tight on the sitting side of the chair, not a problem. Okay, let's rumble. The tutorial said put heaps of staples in also. I'm out of staples. I actually just bought a new size of staple at Bunnings. I just ran to the store then because I'm curious. Wait, what? Where's my scissors? Honey! What? Where's my scissors? So yeah, my curiosity involves trying not to get the staple going all the way through the wood. On this panel, the staple is a little bit too deep and it's just pushing all the way through, so I thought I would get a slightly smaller staple and just see, because if I can staple that down instead of gluing it, that's amazing. I actually glued the fabric on my first trial. I glued it all the way down and it definitely looks great, like it worked. I just didn't enjoy the process. Why is opening this box of staples so treacherous? Okay, interesting. Oh yeah, it's significantly less deep. Can you see? Okay, let me try and look at them standing side by side. Can you see? It's really hard to show. Okay, I'm gonna try the smaller staples out of nothing but curiosity. Also, I feel like really cool knowing how to change this. Using tools and stuff just feels like, I don't know, it's like I can't believe that I'm achieving it, that I'm being successful. Okay, that went somewhere. I probably shouldn't have tested it like that. That was a bit rogue. Back to work. We're gonna change the world forever. Needs a mate, aye aye. Oh, I actually really like this staple. It's a bit easier to get in, I think. I could just be gaslighting myself, but I think it's a quite nice staple. Guys, are you seeing this? I'm gonna bring you in for this. Are you seeing this nonsense? It's just like, whoa, where is all of this fabric going? I know, right? I know, right? It's okay, you just have to manually just kind of do these tiny little gathers or pleats or whatever and just force them. Force them in! It doesn't matter if it looks bad on this side. I'll say it again. I'll say it again for the people in the back. And that's why this is just the worst part to unpick, because there's so many staples here and they're all weirdly like underneath the fabric. And you can see why. It's just because it's a really weird section. But this is kind of my approach. I hope y'all can see this. Whoa, double staple. And then like, if you're feeling really afraid of your work, just turn it over and encourage yourself, because look, that is beautiful. And that is like, well, honestly, it's kind of pretty too because I'm doing these little pleats, but you know, it's less beautiful for sure. Okay, can you see? Nice and tight. It's kind of just gathered there all along the edge, and when I'm done, this can all get trimmed off. And that's how you get a really nice edge. We have many staples all the way around the bottom of the chair. And then that is what it looks like from the front. Really nice. A little bit dirty, but it's okay. Now I'm just gonna trim off all of this excess. That is lovely. Now, just needs this. But probably I'm gonna staple this in a little bit later because I'm a little tired of stapling just right now. But pretend that's what I did. It's very simple, it's just stapling the cover back onto the chair. Cool! What's up everybody? It's a brand new day. The first thing I'm gonna do today is show you how I do this back of the chair business, but also I have to catch you up because I put a self-imposed time restriction on this project, and unfortunately it has placed me in a very precarious position for today. Basically, I thought I would get this done in 4 days. I thought that was enough time, but we have guests coming over for dinner tonight, and currently we have one chair. So it's about 11:30 now. They're coming over in about 8 hours. I think I did that maths right. They're coming over at 7:30. So I need to do these chairs quick smart today. I am a little bit stressed, but what's new? In terms of a progress update, Elijah and I knuckled in last night and we'd pulled out all of the staples out of all of the chairs except for one, which is serving as our example chair just in case we forget how to put it all back together again. So everything is essentially ready to upholster, which is really good. I think staple removal is by far the timeliest section of this project, so yeah. Go. Need 10 of these. Come on, my iron. Come on, my friend. The process of upholstering this section of the chair is exactly the same as upholstering the square seat portion of the chair. It's just smaller and a different shape. I am going to begin the same way, just placing the fabric over like this and stapling it north, east, south and west on the guy. I'm just going to keep stapling all the way around the edges, tucking in all the extra fabric around the corners, and then I'll trim the excess. If you had a little bit of budget to throw into an upholstery project like this, I would definitely recommend getting a nice high quality staple gun. Preferably one that is, I think they're like pressurized or they're plugged in, but they're not so manual forcey, I think. Could be wrong, but I have a suspicion that if you get a really good one of these, it's going to be a little bit less labor intensive because even just doing half of the staples of this is making me sweat. I am genuinely applying my body pressure to this staple gun in order for the staples to go in perfectly. There's also a world in which I'm just really bad at using this and I've got a terrible technique. So there's that too. But as far as my story goes, this is physical work. Physical, tiring, your body will be sore at the end of the day work. Not that I'm complaining. Nice. The trickiest part about this section for me is making sure that I cover the right side of the back with fabric, because if you cover it the wrong way, it will be so sad. They do not fit together like this. They have to fit together like that. You feel me? So check twice. I need to check twice. That is the side we want covered. That's what we want. I got smaller staples just to see if I could staple them through this thin piece of, what's it called? Wood, without the staple poking through. So let's see. Otherwise I will be gluing this together. We're in business, baby. That's awesome. And now I shall just repeat the stapling process just like I did for this one, but on this one. Actually, I'm finding it so challenging to get these staples flush. I think on the bottom of the chair, it's not too much of a problem, but for this particular piece that has to go flush with the other back piece, I am worried that the staples are going to be the buffer that actually splits them a little bit apart. So I'm wondering if potentially it would be better for me to use my wood glue to do this portion and then just do a few staples. Maybe, we'll see. I'm gonna glue these two together because they're done, but I might have a play around with that for the next few ones and see if that helps to get things really nice and flush. I think I've said that word a lot. Clamps. And I need glue. That one was good. All it takes is literally every ounce of pressure that I can muster. That's all it needs. I'm not asking for so much.
Just kidding, that's a joke. Okay, yeah, no, they definitely, staples are being so pronounced. Ugh. It's annoying. I'm actually gonna take out all the staples. They just look too prominent when I piece the two back pieces together. But it's alright, they're much easier to remove because they're not rusted in. And because they're only put in like halfway. Alright, I've got my two back pieces prepped and now we're just gonna glue them together like this and clamp them. I don't really have an approach for this. The approach is try and make them stick. And try not to get the glue on spilling out onto the other side. Let's go! I'm just gonna clamp this like crazy. Awesome. The first time I glued those back pieces together, I taped it like crazy, and that definitely worked. But when I removed the tape in the morning, it left this weird pilling mark along the corduroy because it ripped up a bunch of the fibers, which was kind of unfortunate. It's not stark, like it's fine. It's definitely usable, that first chair, but hopefully the clamps leave a little bit more of a flawless finish. I'm only slightly worried about them actually imprinting into the corduroy, but it's tape or it's clamps. I don't really know if there's a third option. Okay, one seat back done. 4 more to go. What's the time? 12:15, but I only need 4 chairs for tonight, so I need to do 2 more. Wait guys, that's kind of the chair. The only other step that's left is screwing that stuff back onto the chair. Kind of good. So now I've just got to hustle this.
I've always believed she took it out of her cabinet. Tiffany was like,
It's very exciting.
Hey, it is now around 5:30. I've spent the entire afternoon absolutely gassing myself trying to hustle this project and get it done. I really wanted to do all 6 so that I just wouldn't have to think about them again. But to be honest, I just don't think I've got it in me today or tomorrow or probably in the next week. I need a tiny little break from staples and staple guns. Anyway, I'm just gonna let those chairs breathe. I'm gonna pop them back down in our garage and I'm gonna come back to it when my brain and body are ready. I would highly recommend chipping away at a project like this. I feel like I say that every second video now because I just seem to be getting a little bit too ambitious. But hey, some of the most inspiring ideas are the craziest ones. So sometimes you just gotta go for it. I'm gonna finish these off, clean up our house for our guests, and I'll probably see you tomorrow to show you the finished result. Guys, I did it! All 4 chairs are complete! Don't think about the 2 chairs that I deserted in our garage. They don't exist because I can't see them. Chair number 1, chair number 2, chair number 3, chair number 4. As you can tell, these are my chairs. He's right behind me, isn't he? I definitely made errors on every single chair. The main error that I kept running into was getting glue on the outside of the fabric, and also when I was trying to clamp this back portion of the chair together, when I used tape, it did take off some of the fibers of the corduroy, but when I didn't use tape, it just didn't stick together so effectively at this edge here. So I did end up using tape, I think, on every single chair, and you can tell, all in all, I'm so happy with them. Huge upgrade. And I kind of can't believe that I accomplished this. I had absolutely no experience in any sort of project like this. I bought all of those tools from scratch and then just kind of did it. And it was achievable, though very physically strenuous. I actually think anyone can go ahead and do something like this if you have a really similar chair. However, it was physical. It was a lot of hunched over work. It was a lot of getting splinters in my hands, a lot of body weight, a lot of force, a lot of heave-ho kind of work, if that makes sense, you know? Heave-ho. Heave-ho. So just bear that in mind if you are someone who wants to do a project like this. Prepare to sweat, but prepare to transform your dining chairs. Wait, there's something there. If you think there might be something there, potential in your dining chair, go on and tie up your hair and upholster your dining chairs. Okay, that song was
stupid. Anyway, that is the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed watching me take on this whole process. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And as always, please let me know one little secret treasure about your life. How was work, school, study, or your creativity, projects, things you're excited for? Give me a little something in the comment section. I would love to hear a little bit about how you are going. And other than that, I think we're done. I will see you all in the next video. Have a wonderful week. Sending lots of love. Bye.